world, just as Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. Still geology, Professor Palmer, another foremost geologist from United States, he was stunned by this Quranic verse. I'm translating. The Quran says, Alif Lam Mim, the Romans have been defeated in the lowest part of the land, but after their defeat, they will soon be victorious. In Arabic, the word Adna could mean both nearest and lowest. By Adna al-Ard, Qur'an commentators were referring to the land nearest to the Arabs. That is, Qur'an commentators were referring to the land of Jerusalem. Advanced geological investigation now confirm that Jerusalem not only happens to be a land where a battle took place between the Romans and the Persians, where the Romans were defeated, but it also happens to be the lowest part of the world. First, Professor Palmer contested this by saying, well, there are many parts in Europe and America which are lower than this. But he had a topographical globe with him, which showed elevations and depressions. That confirmed it. He was compelled to confirm the Quranic version. Professor Shief Bita, a best-known marine geologist from Japan, he was greatly astonished that the Quran 14 centuries ago mentions about the functions of the mountains and the shapes of the mountains. Today, all scientists would confirm, all geologists would confirm that all mountains, whether it be land mountains or sea mountains, have the shape of a wedge. But the Quran recorded this information 14 centuries ago. The Quran said in one verse, and have we not created the earth as a wide expanse and mountains as pegs? In another verse, the Quran says, and he has firmly established mountain like wedges on the earth. Now, who could have informed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Could anyone living in that desert 1400 years ago work out from his own mind that the solid, massive mountains which stood before him actually extended deep inside the earth and have roots as highly advanced modern geology tells us today, when in fact many of the textbooks, while discussing mountains, discusses only the parts of the mountains which is on the surface of the earth. Professor Frank Pierce, former scientific advisor to former President Jimmy Carter of United States, he was greatly astonished that the Quran talks about the functions of the mountains 14th century ago. It is a highly advanced information in geology. Today, all geologists would confirm that a major function of the mountains is to stabilize the crust of the earth. But the Quran recorded it 14 centuries ago. The Quran says, and He, Allah, He has placed on the earth firmly rooted mountains, lest the earth should shake with you. Marine geology. Professor Hay is another foremost marine geologist from United States. He was greatly astonished that the Quran 14 centuries ago mentions about the mixed water partition between different seas and oceans. Quran mentions that 14 centuries ago. The Quran says, and He, that is Allah, He has caused the two seas to meet together, yet between them is a barrier which neither of them can transgress. For 1400 years, marine scientists were not aware of this barrier or partition. Human eyes cannot see this barrier. Seas and oceans would look blue to the naked human eyes. It was only after 1942, that after hundreds of marine research stations have been set up around the world, marine scientists have been able to see this barrier with the help of advanced satellite technology and remote sensing techniques. For the first time in marine history, scientists were able to see this barrier with the help of pictures taken by satellites using spatial thermal characteristics of water. So marine scientists today are in a position to explain that these bodies of water in different seas and oceans are not homogeneous sea as it appears to naked human eyes, but different seas and oceans as distinguished by their varying degrees of temperature, salinity, density, marine biology, and oxygen dissolubility. Who gave Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam this information 14 centuries ago? Did he have advanced fully? Because one group of Islamic scholars said, well, because there is a barrier, this barrier will simply prevent water from one sea to enter the other or flood the other. The second group of Islamic scholars said, well, how could that be? Because the Qur'an says they meet together. Because the Qur'an does indeed say He has caused the two seas to meet together. So they do indeed meet together. Science has today provided us with enough information to resolve this issue. Today we know water from one sea does indeed. Durga Rao, another foremost marine scientist of the world, he was stunned by this Quranic verse. I'm translating. Don't the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth let me repeat this. He was stunned by this Quranic verse. The state of the unbelievers is like a darkness in a dismal sea, covered by waves, upon which are clouds, layers and layers of darkness. If he holds out his hand, he could hardly see. For whom Allah has appointed no light, there will be no light. This is a Quranic verse. Marine scientists can today explain this Quranic verse by means of submarines, which enable them to dive into depths of the oceans where human beings are unable to dive unaided beyond 20 to 30 meters. In fact, those who dive for pearls dive in the shallow water. Human beings cannot survive in the deep, dark parts of the oceans, such as at the depths of 200 to 300 meters. But this Quranic verse talks about a phenomenon which is found in very deep, dark ocean. Because darkness in a dismal sea that the Qur'an mentions does not refer to just any sea, because not every sea can be seen as having that accumulated darknesses, one layer after another. This sort of layered darknesses in deep seas and oceans have two causes, as the marine scientists would tell us today. First, successive disappearance of color. Second, presence of certain barriers which conceal light. As you know, the first one, the successive disappearance of color. As you know, the light ray consists of 7 colors. When it hits the surface of the water, it is scattered into 7 colors. Then the light ray penetrates through the sea. Then within first 10 meters, see his own blood, because the color red cannot be seen beyond 10 meters. Then within 50 meters, the color yellow gets absorbed. So beyond 50 meters, red cannot be seen, yellow cannot be seen. Then within 100 meters, the color green gets absorbed. Then within 200 meters, the color blue gets absorbed. So the sea is becoming progressively darker. That is, darkness is taking place in layers, just as the Quran says, the first layer of darkness. Then the light ray also manages to reach the surface of the sea. It is once again scattered. It is once again scattered by the wave surface, creating another layer of darkness under it. Then the light ray also manages to reach the depths of the sea. In the depths of the sea, scientists have discovered what they call internal waves. These internal waves have only been discovered during the 1900s. Beneath these internal waves is absolute darkness. Absolute darkness. Fish in those depths cannot see. Even fish cannot see. Submarines must bring their own light in order to be able to see. But who gave Rasul